Hello and welcome to July and Canadian authors and comedians. On Mondays, I'll be featuring some different authors and Canadian humor. What I've discovered is humor doesn't always age well. We have Stuart McLean's Vinyl Cafe Unplugged. I'll be talking about two of his other books as well. Now, in the case of Stuart McLean, who sadly passed away a number of years ago, most of his material is still quite good because he focused on a family, Dave, Morley, and their two children, and talked about various things that happened to them on a day-to-day kind of basis. His other books also talk about his traveling across Canada, the people that he met, and the various things that happened. So most of his work is still okay in 2025. Sadly, the same cannot be said for this collection, The Penguin Book of Canadian Jokes, and this is by John Robert Colombo. Now this collection is from, and sorry if you can hear the air conditioner, but it is way too hot and humid today to not have it on. This collection is from 2001. You can tell by the few tags that I have, there are just a few jokes in here that would still be considered appropriate in 2025. It's a bit of the challenge with humor and comedy and, particularly now, and I'm not going to name specific late night hosts or anything, but a decade of the same old, at least for me, got exhausting a few years ago, and I stopped watching. Partly because, to me, when you're complaining about an individual, then maybe you should stop making them the center of every freaking monologue 5 days a week. So that's a bit of a challenge with humor, and what may have seemed funny or appropriate at one time tends to change over the years. I'll also be talking about Mark Critch. I've just read his book. He's from This Hour Has 22 Minutes, which I was happy to find out is still on. I haven't had cable in years, so it's been a while since I've seen the show, but there are episodes and clips on YouTube. I also have a book by Rick Mercer. Not sure if I'll be able to get that finished throughout July, and I want to focus on all of those individuals. So next week we'll be looking at Stuart McLean. The week after will be Mark Critch, and then looking at Rick Mercer, who started on This Hour Has 22 Minutes, and it was after he left that Mark Critch and some of the others I'm more familiar with came onto the show. As far as John Robert Colombo, yes, his joke book may have gone out of date, but I also have another work by him called Mysterious Canada, who is quite famous in terms of collecting information and compiling stories based on what people shared with him. This is from 1988. I also have a ghost story collection by him, and those never age. Partly because, in this case, they're talking about the experiences they've had, various locations, and it's a very different genre from comedy. I'm very much looking forward to reading this book. I've read a couple of his ghost story collections, which I've enjoyed. That just reminds me, I also have Barbara Smith, who is also another Canadian who has made ghost story collections like John Robert Colombo, and they also talk about how they gathered their stories. So because this was before something called the internet. They either put ads in the newspaper, they were getting responses by email, they were making phone calls to get in touch with people. So a much different way of communicating even than people would do now. This particular book, Mysterious Canada, Strange Sights, Extraordinary Events, and Peculiar Places. And he has all of the provinces and territories represented. Very curious to get to the Ontario section of this. As I've mentioned in an earlier video, we do have some well-known haunted locations here in Ontario. I'm just quick flipping through, but I'm interested to see if he mentions any of the places here in London. I also have a ghost story collection by Terry Boyle, another Canadian. Mondays I'll dedicate to the comedians, as I figure we can all use a good laugh. Ghost stories, we'll be taking a look at John Robert Colombo, Barbara Smith, Terry Boyle. Very much looking forward to my return visit by Richard Palmisano, a paranormal investigator here in Ontario, and talking about two of his books, Overshadows and Meeting Place of the Dead. Those are both based on investigations that he had done with his team, the Searcher Group. I'll leave a link to their website down below. There'll be other content involving Canadians. Not quite sure what that's going to be yet. All the live streams are Canadian booktubers. Very much looking forward to that, making connections with new folks across the country. I'm looking forward to sharing about all these amazing folks, and I figured July 1st is Canada Day, and this year, more than many other years, I figure let's celebrate for the whole month and showcase all those amazing Canadians. Hope you can join me. If you plan to, you can give me a thumbs up or a happy face emoji down in the comments below, as that and hitting that like button certainly helps me get out to other folks who enjoy this type of content. And until next time, be safe, be well, and great big hug.